name is Dr. Elita Denson. I have been teaching 30 years. I taught 19 years in Atlanta Public School System, and the remainder of my years have been in Fulton County School System, and 1 year at Kennesaw State supervising teachers in literacy and social studies. I have a master's, a specialist, and a doctorate in teaching.
My name is Kimberly Wimbish, and I have been teaching for 3 years.
My name is Pamela Andrews, and I've taught for 19 years.
Teachers in our society today play an important role in life to benefit children to become successful in their careers. Teachers recognize that kids are the future of a leading nation. Their roles played are very valuable and significant. The first adult a child begins to trust other than their parent is their teacher. A good teacher knows what can be channelized into this young mind to discipline it and guide it into the right direction. As teachers devote their life to the teaching, learning, and loving of these students, their real life becomes irrelevant. No matter what a teacher goes through, they are to mask it and still be there for the students to receive a good education. So who cares about the teachers? Who cares about their health, their life, their purpose? Join me in a sit-down with a veteran, a new face, and a former teacher in education.
Education has always been my dream. I knew in the 5th grade that I wanted to be a teacher. And the students in my classroom as a 5th grader became my students at home. I used to play school when I would get home. And I knew then that I wanted to be a teacher. And I knew when I went to college that I would major in education to be an elementary school teacher.
Education wasn't my initial dream, but I always was taught that education is important according to where my family came from. And to get an education, that was my way out to do better.
I went to a Catholic school when I was growing up. So what made me want to be a teacher is I had an excellent kindergarten and 1st grade teacher. And then when I went to high school, my English teacher said that I would make a great teacher. And although I had already been thinking about that since 5th grade and I used to play school, I never had anyone to say, I think that you will be an excellent teacher. So when she said it, I just went for becoming a teacher.
I became passionate about it maybe when I turned 30. But I always used to play school like I was a teacher when I was a little girl.
So what made you say okay, yeah, I want to be a teacher?
Because when I worked for the FBI, I had this program. We had an adopted school, and I adopted Thomasville Heights, and I would go over and do a program with them. It was called the Special Agent Junior Academy Program. And so being in the school, it kind of really made me want to just go back and get my degree in education.
Urban youths living in certain home environments and attending school in certain communities do not foster academic success. Moreover, growing challenges of educating urban youth are due to barriers such as poverty, limited English proficiency, family instability, and poor health that impacts children's learning.
Working in an urban school is very different from working in a suburban school or a rural school, and I've taught in them all. But working in an urban school, first of all, the students come with a totally different socioeconomic background. So with that lack of support and money and resources, all of that falls on the school to provide. They also come with a lack of values that go along with it, because they may have parents or a single parent that has to work 2 or 3 jobs. So the parents are not there. So they're not there to guide them and everything. So everything that they learn in the neighborhood or just being on their own in the street, they bring that into the classroom. So it's a total redirecting of everything. It is a total of us giving them everything that we think they're missing at home, because they really do lack the necessary resources, technological advantages, and everything that a suburban student will have that they get at school and at home. We're having to provide that here at school.
Working at an urban school is very interesting. I can honestly say I laugh a lot. Since I did my field placement in a rural-based area, coming to an urban area, I find a lot of culture, and I learned a lot of new things from working with the kids, but also it makes me stay on top of what I need to do as an educator because it's so demanding. So I always be mindful of who I'm working with and who I come in contact. I do believe I face more responsibility at an urban school just because it's more populated, and usually our numbers are generated through more of an urban-based or city-based area versus the rural community.
Oh, that's a hard question. Ask that again. Well, I think more than giving them an education, I take some of their nonsense and grief and lack of exposure home with me, because I'm always worried about them. Let me say that first. I'm always worried about their well-being, because I know I have students that may leave here today and not eat until they come back tomorrow morning. That's concerning to me. I also have students that sit for hours at home by themselves, so I'm always concerned about their safety, because and then I have students that will do what their parents tell them not to do, and they will be out in the neighborhood when they really should be at home sleep, so they don't have any supervision over them. So beyond teaching them, I'm always concerned about their welfare and how they're being taken care of.
Teachers are here to help and inspire, but the appreciation is not present in society. Teachers teach more than reading, math, and writing. They teach us life lessons and help us discover who we are and what motivates us to succeed. Outside of a classroom, teachers also have their own life to live, which isn't thought of because teachers mask every problem they face outside of the classroom.
Outside of the classroom, my top priorities would be my family, myself included, and also just maintaining a level head, putting the work down just for a minute so I can have a clear mind and make sure that I understand my purpose and what I want to do in life.
Come to work.
Okay, well, first of all, I am a victim. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. So I was shot 6 times in 2004, and I was off work for, I think I still have 4 bullets now remaining in me. I've had multiple surgeries, but that immediately placed me into a single parent category. So I, of course, had to come back to work because I had to maintain a household for children that was little at that time. Now, luckily, I not only am just a teacher with clear credentials, but I also have a master's, a specialist, and a doctorate in teaching. So the great thing is I could go anywhere and teach. I'm also a national board certified teacher. So my coming back in the classroom is never a hard thing for me because I have the credentials to teach. But I definitely, after a year or 2, had to come back into the classroom and teach. And it was just fortunate that I was healthy enough to do so. Now, in between that time, I've had to have surgeries as it relates to the shooting. And I had to be off again. But I was still able to bounce back. And I think that goes back into what I was saying about my focus on health and my wellness, that I was able to actually heal from the surgeries and go back to work. But I definitely had to. I didn't sit out for long. Also, last year, this time, well, in 2014, I lost my father. This past year, I lost my mother. Both of those occasions led me to being out. But also, my own daughter had to have an emergency C-section. That led me to being out. And because all of my days are exhausted, because I've never been able to recoup any days from being out either for myself or them. I'm not paid during that time, but when it comes to family, I'm going to do what I have to do as far as the length of time that I need to be out. I always make sure that it is legal going out on family medical leave, and then I go back to work when I think that they are okay.
Out of the classroom.
I think people like to think they care about teachers and what we face, But essentially, I do not think they truly care, nor do they try to comprehend or have an understanding of what we deal with on a daily basis.
Well, I'm not going to say it was by choice. You know, it was just, I think it was just my time. You know, because once again, I think about when I started teaching, and that when I started teaching, to me, it was more of a village. You know, it was more of, you know, you do what you have to do to make that child be successful. I don't mean like child abuse or anything like that. But, you know, the bottom line is, you know, if a kid got out of line, you know, we used our resources, whatever we could, to make that child understand what they did was wrong. And because, you know, sometimes, you know, administration, they don't believe in suspension. You know, a kid can cuss you out and, you know, they back in your classroom and you thinking to yourself like, okay, this kid has to understand that this ain't right. So, you know, you have to come up with ways in which the child understand. And, you know, later as the years went on, you could see the change. You could see the change in parenting. You could see the change in the kids. And it was more, I don't want to say, because I'd say for my child, you know, entitlement. You know, I saw more entitlement from kids, like, you know, this what you owe me. This what you know, this is what I'm supposed to have. This is what I'm supposed to do or whatever. So, you know, I got out of teaching because I knew that my style of teaching, and because I'm a disciplinary one, you know, I do believe in a kid being respectful. And I saw that it wasn't that way anymore. You know, parents had more rights than the teachers, you know, as far as a child is concerned.
What's the problem? What's the problem in education? That we are not paid the big money, because it definitely should go to a teacher. It definitely should go to a credentialed, caring teacher that want to be there. The second thing I would talk about with society is, how dare you insult us by thinking anyone can do it. For example, people thought troops to teaching. You're gonna take somebody that's been in the service, postpartum stress, been all over in Afghanistan, and you gonna put them in front of a child. That's what you're gonna do. And how you think that's gonna come out? Because if I do this, they're gonna think it's a gun. And what's gonna happen? Yes, everything that they went through in Afghanistan, going through post-traumatic stress disorder, is gonna come out in the classroom. Child tried to hit them or rise up with them. What you think they're gonna do? Don't bring no troops in here that has come from being in a war and think that they can teach students. That's not fair. That's not fair to this profession. You wouldn't take me and put me in a surgery with a doctor that I'm not trained for and just come in. So don't do that to the teacher profession. This is a profession.
Essentially, I would first ask if they would like to come in and substitute my classroom. I think that would be a great starter so they can truly understand. But also, I do would like parents or just someone in general who's curious about education to come in, particularly in an urban-based area, or at least an area which they are from, so they can see the side of what an educator deals with on a daily basis and allow them to go through the process and handle certain things on their own with certain situations, just because sometimes we're in the classroom and no one supports or handles the situation of what we're dealing with.
I just think that, you know, for teachers, you know, people really need to understand that it's more than just teaching the curriculum, you know, because sometimes you have kids that's at school, they come to you at 7 o'clock in the morning and they still there till 7 o'clock at night, you know, and it's more than just teaching.
After hearing about the lives and hard work and dedication put into the education field, who truly cares about teachers? Who truly cares about their financial gains? Who cares about the change for these teachers? Do you care?